Santosh ji, you are on mute and your video is also not visible.
You can start now.
Waiting for Mr. Santosh ji.
We are calling this Samurai Awards. Na? Yeah, what is the conference?
Samurai Conference.
Samurai Conference.
Yeah. Should I start now?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the Industry Samurai Conference 2024 organized by Mix Media Private Limited. My name is Nishant Kashyap, founder of Maftec Digital and editor of TAGMA Times and host for today's panel discussion on a very burning topic, building a greener tomorrow, the role of sustainability in manufacturing. And let's discuss about why this topic. Why do we need to discuss this? What's the importance of sustainability in the manufacturing industry? See, we know we have been hearing this word sustainability since a long time. It's like a buzzword, but it's not just a nice to have thing in a business. It is now a business imperative, particularly in a manufacturing sector, which accounts for almost 23% of global CO2 emissions. And the challenges we face because of this is a significant. However, we cannot even we don't have any other alternative because manufacturing economy has to grow. Of course, for manufacturing economy has to grow, there can be a certain ways to reduce the emission, to reduce the carbon footprint. And for that, we are going to have a discussion with panel of experts. We have some experts from diverse industry range. Let me just introduce you to our speakers. We have Mr. Amit Kapur, Chairman and Managing Director of IOTA Group Companies. Mr. Ravindra Utgikar, Independent Director and accomplished strategist. Mr. Kavishwar, Chief Operating Officer of Best Value Chem Private Limited. Mr. Santosh Nagasamy, CEO of Phitons Bioengineering, and Mr. Yogesh Dadke, IT leader at Avient Corporation. I welcome you all, sir, to this fifth edition of Samurai Conference.
The pleasure.
Thank you, Nishant.
Just to set the tone, would you like to go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself and the little bit background about your initiatives in sustainability in 1.5 minutes? Maybe starting with you, Mr. Kavishwar, if you could just talk a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah. Thanks, Nishant. I think I just wanted to thank you for inviting for this, and it's a great, it will be a great discussion. All leaders across the stalwarts are there. So I see sustainability is very buzzword, So it has started long back, but typically in a manufacturing, I see that lot way to go. So if I link this with industry 1.0, 2.3 to 4.0, 5 and working towards the 6.0 now. So then each phase bringing the sustainability. So what sustainability most of the industry has taken is a cost saving, which is not the case. It's not only the one part of it. I can share some of example what we did as an organization. We first try to understand where we are. So there are the partners now in the industries who tell us where you are, and then with like scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, you can work on. Once you identified, you can work on it. We are the first company here who has done first time in Baroda Municipal Council. So they have the sewage water treated. We use that water in industry. So we are the first one in the region to do that. We got award for this sustainability from government. But we started it. We have taken that extra what you can say cost, but it is leveraging because the quality is good. At the same time, I'm saving millions of water a day. If the single initiative can get start across, maybe I will say maybe 10% of it, some water dropped and shortage in one of the region can get eliminated. This is a simple one. There are many initiatives like we further work on renewable energy. As of now, Gujarat government is giving the subsidy. I don't know about the other states what's ongoing, but we got a subsidy, and now we will save around, you can say 50% of our energy cost only through renewable energy. So we are working towards the first balancing the carbon, and balancing the carbon. Our goal is to go for carbon neutral. which is a long way to go because we are doing a lot of product cycle assessment. In a product cycle assessment, there is a lot of learning we got, because if I do anything, I need to check whether my supplier is ready, whether my customer is ready to do that. But small step we can do it. I see that if one industry can have a roadmap, they can see where they are right now, what the steps they can do it, which balance sheet supports us. That's most important. And second, how they can take first step and make awareness against all people. It's a very small thing, like recycle of your waste, you generating energy from your waste. There are very minor things, but if industry can look at the holistic cycle, like I always say, before 50-60 years we are having the circular economy. We don't have to go out, everything was around and everything was recyclable mostly.
Right.
Or we had that consciousness to use the resources. Right now, some of that consciousness got fulfilled, maybe due to we have got to wash things. If we can go back to basics, work on the same principle, I see it's feasible. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and thanks for sharing those examples. We'll touch upon those things and later at our discussion. Now, Mr. Ravindra, would you like to talk a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sure. Yeah. So, first of all, good afternoon to everybody, to my co-panelists, to you, my anchor, to all the industry colleagues, academia, all the fraternity joining us online platform. I also want to put on record my sincere thanks to Meshmix Media for invitation and taking this initiative to bring the insights on the topic, which is very contemporary and relevant as we start the COP29 summit of climate change in Baku today.
Okay.
On a personal level, I have done my doctorate in international marketing strategies. I have over 3 decades of experience in formulating and implementing business transformation strategies globally, having traveled around 40 countries across 5 continents, building partnerships, alliances, developing strategies to from go to market to scale up businesses. I have worked in diverse industry domains like control, instrumentation, process automation, wind energy, solar energy, digital transmission, electrical transmission, and bioeconomy recently. I am very passionate about academia, industry, sustainability, climate change, environment, technology. I write regular columns in newspapers. I have written several technical papers that have been published in ISS and ISBN journals on these topics. So this is a topic close to my heart. I think manufacturing GDP must grow for India to fulfill its $5 trillion economy vision by 2027. Government advanced it from 2030 to 2027. But even bigger picture is for us to be able to achieve the developed nation status at the centenary year. We need to create meaningful value-added jobs. And the economy can only grow multifold if the manufacturing sector grows. At 1.42 billion, we are the most populous nation on the planet with a median age of 28. And we have a huge demographic dividend advantage to be harnessed. That demographic dividend we need to harness only by creating value-added, meaningful, constructive jobs, not just in service industry, but importantly in manufacturing industry. So China plus one strategy, Make in India, production linked incentive, some of the several government schemes and global policy dynamics have given India an opportunity to leapfrog, or rather to pole vault as a manufacturing capital of the world after China. China is streets ahead at this point. So we have this unprecedented opportunity to make a big mark on a global platform on the manufacturing side. Having that said, we have enough and more challenges in terms of making that development sustainable by way of graduating to low carbon economy, by way of keeping in track on the net zero progression plans, aligning with sustainable development goals, and as the Prime Minister has given a clarion call for lifestyle for environment, which is more based on the circular economy principle. So I think in today's topic, we will be able to talk a lot on that. And I'm looking forward to meaningful exchange with my fellow colleagues. Thanks again for the opportunity, Nishant.
Thank you so much, Ravinji. Now, would you like to touch upon the subject, Mr. Santosh, and also discussing a little bit about yourself and your experiences?
Thank you, Nishant, and thanks everybody for this, the organizers, of course, for this opportunity, and of course, my fellow panelists. My name is Santosh Nagasamy. I'm the CEO of Phitons. Sustainability is at the core of Phitons. So, in fact, we specialize in making alternatives for single-use plastic. In a nutshell, that's what we do. But at a larger bird's eye view, we take on missions um, soil security, food security, even national security in certain ways, because packaging now is become an integral part of every industry. And if we are importing all our packaging materials, then somebody else is controlling the cost of our goods, right? So it's a question of national security for us. So sustainability is at the core of everything we do. Our products are sustainable by design, and our ethos is also sustainable. So a couple of things I want to touch upon. I think the previous panelist members mentioned it accurately. If India has to hit the GDP goals, then manufacturing is at the heart of everything. And we have to now focus on putting Indian manufacturing on the global map. And we have to do it in a sustainable manner. And for that, we have to take three things into consideration. Sustainability without scale is not sustainable, right? That's one of the most important things for us. We have to be sustainable, but at scale. Second, we have to definitely be commercially viable. Just because we are sustainable doesn't mean that the end user has to pay the price. And the individual entities in the value chain of the manufacturing have to make money as well. So we have to, using pure innovation, we'll have to hit those commercial viability status. And the third most important one is minimal disruption in the usage by the end user. I always tell my team that a paper straw is not really a straw. It is completely changes the user experience. So we have to hit all these parameters and still ensure that the user experience is not altered. And that's what helps us make a truly sustainable product. I'm very excited to be part of this panel and looking forward to having a meaningful discussion on how we can solve one of the world's most important problems today.
Okay, thanks for your insight. Now, moving on, Mr. Kavishwar, would you like to talk about introduce yourself now?
Yeah, Nishant, you are asking me, yeah?
Yeah.
Again? Okay.
Sorry.
So
Sorry.
I think I already introduced you
Mr. Yogesh
Yeah,
Dadke.
absolutely. Thank you so
Sorry.
much. First thing first, it's a pleasure to be on a panel discussion alongside the industry veterans here. Thank you, Mishmax Media and Samurai, for making this panel possible. Um, uh, the topic today is for greener tomorrow, right? I mean, that word itself will tell us what's the expectation out of it. No matter what, how much we discuss about it in next half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, but the outcome that I want the listeners to take out of it is that let's not keep it only for the conversation. Let's take at least one um, leaflet out of it and start implementing it right from the next hour. Even if it is use a glass bottle, and that's what we start from the office, right from at home, right from yourself. If you start doing that, and then taking it towards a smarter way of manufacturing, smarter way of conserving, and making the use of correct technologies for our greener future, will be a right way to take it forward. Of course, the industry veterans here around are here to share their views, perspectives. For me, typically, being from the private segment, I just wanted to share one dialogue that views expressed by me are completely my personal, and want to bring that caveat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, at last, Mr. Amit Kapur, if you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Nishant. I'm Amit Kapur, Chairman and Managing Director of the IOTA Group of Companies. I have spent about 27 years of my lifetime in blower and vacuum industry, vacuum pumps, and I got an opportunity to sell my company way back in December 2022 to Ingersoll Rand USA, and I very
Okay.
proudly exited. Proud because at least we were the ones whom they chose to buy, in India, in the complete Southeast Asia.
Right.
So we built that business and with our own hands, and then exited out of it. And currently, I'm into nanotechnology. So basically, what we thought was that to venture into something new and come out with the shortcomings which my previous business had. So I am into hardcore nanotechnology now. We develop machines which produce nanobubbles, and nanobubbles are pretty new to the world. I mean, they are bubbles at least 2,500 times smaller than a grain of salt. So you can imagine the size I'm speaking of. And we are trying to explore various applications where these bubbles can be used, and we are developing equipment for generating these nanobubbles and also venturing out on some end use cases. Very proud to also announce that we've associated with very renowned universities like MIT and Oxford, and we're doing a very high-end R&D in this technology, which also relates to targeted drug delivery for cancer and stroke patients.
Okay.
Coming back to sustainability, it's a very nice word, it's a buzzword, but yes, it cannot be practiced in isolation. So, if we talk about organization, whether it is private, whether it is public sector, whether it is government, any place you see, it has to be built in into the vision, mission, policy. It has to come top to bottom. We can't just say that one sustainable project we take and we are sustainable. It doesn't work that way. So it has to come from top to bottom. It has to be built into the company's core values. And then, if you see from a process perspective, like a process has got an input, it has got some transformation, it has got output, it has got some controls, it has got some monitoring. And from a business perspective also, we'll have to see that how can we make every process sustainable. And there will be a lot of stakeholders, there will be lots of investments, there will be a lot of money coming in. So everything may not be feasible in one go, but yes, small baby steps if we start taking today, at least we'll work towards a greener tomorrow. Um, it is a very, very hot word now, and there are various methods and techniques of adopting sustainability. We can start with very small energy conservation projects and take them along. Like I told you, inculcate in the core values, the vision, and the mission of the company, and
Right.
it should be measurable on a time scale basis, and then only we'll be able to prove that yes, we've done something for our mother earth. uh, I'm very happy to be here, Nishant, and I thank the Meshmix TDR team. And I'm also thankful to all the panelists who are here because I'm very sure that by the end of this session, I'll gain a lot more and have a lot more clarity and ideas about how to implement more sustainable ideas. So, very warm welcome and a hello to all of you, and also to all the audience who are engaged right now. Thank you, Nishant.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm also looking forward to the next 1 hour of conversation, learning a lot of things from you all. And we have set the tone perfectly, the context of this discussion perfectly. So next 1 hour, we are going to discuss about the basics of sustainability in manufacturing, the implications, the challenges of in implementing it, opportunities, circular economy, waste management, energy management, and many other things. So my first question to you, Mr. Amit, is what do you see the biggest drivers pushing the manufacturers towards sustainability today? Is it just the feeling that we need to do a lot for Mother Earth? Is it the government and regulatory pressure? Is it the consumer demand that's pushing us towards this? Is it the cost saving? What do you feel? What exactly is pushing us towards this sustainable economy?
Nishant, see, I personally feel it's a mix of everything.
Okay.
And it is very essential from every perspective also. If
Right.
we talk about the government to start with, there are very huge incentives and policies which are, manufacturer friendly, which if a manufacturer adopts, he can probably add to his profits. If you see from a customer perspective, the customer is very, very conscious about the brand he is using, the brand
Yeah.
story. How are they doing the manufacturing? Are they polluting? He definitely needs information. A lot of customers seek information now. What is the pollution level? How are you treating that? It's not only the customers; it's all your stakeholders. Whether it is your financiers, your investors, your bankers, your customers, your vendors. So it's a complete chain. It starts from one end and goes till the last moment. If you see from a company's own perspective, yes, that awareness, that consciousness has to be there. Like I told you, it has to come from top to bottom. Not
Yeah.
only top to bottom, it has to be made as a part of employee training. So all the employees need to be engaged into it. We have to also train our vendors, so vendors need to be part of it. We need to create awareness for our customers, so it is a 360-degree process. If you take the processes, we need to go ahead for energy efficient processes, energy efficient machinery. We need to explore renewable energy sources if we can adopt them, like, for example, solar or wind. Within your restrictions, because you cannot do everything, there'll be limitations.
Of course.
And the most important factor in a business is you ultimately have to see the return on the investment, because in business you are here to generate profits for your shareholders. We are not a NGO. I'm being very blunt. We are not a NGO. We are here to generate profit for our shareholders, and that is so that is the hard truth, and we are answerable to them. So ultimately the shareholder sees the value which is created. But yes, creating value through sustainable methods, through sustainable engineering techniques is a very important thing which companies need to adopt.
Okay, and where do you see India stands in sustainable manufacturing? Because when we move to the developed world like Europe, USA, and Japan, Korea, and all these places, we see that they practice sustainable living in their daily life to the factories and everywhere. Where do you see India is stands at this point, Mr. Kapoor?
See, India has a long way to go. We have to accept the fact that we are a developing economy. We are not a developed economy, and we
Right,
compare ourselves with nations of all developed economies. For a developing economy, if you see the hard truth, our core industry lies in the MSME sector. Even
right.
within the MSME sector, majority of the percentage is unorganized sector. For
Yes,
them, fulfilling their daily needs, running their show is a more priority job than getting into talks of sustainability and finding methods, of being sustainable. But yes, if they start doing it, what will happen is they will start exploring energy efficient methods for themselves. And
yeah,
in a way, directly or indirectly, they will be increasing their bottom lines, the profitability of the company or their work. So that is very critical, creating that awareness. If we impose sustainability as a word on everybody, nobody will adopt it. But if we try to
yeah.
explain it from their perspective, so as to how can they benefit. I mean, even somebody who's working, who's got a small, workshop at home, how can he gain out of sustainable actions, how initiatives, and make a better bottom line for himself. So that is
Right.
very important. But yes, we have a far way to go if we take India as a country, because like I said, we are a developing economy, and our priorities are very different right now.
Right. So I pick up 2 points from your last statement. We have far way to go, but there is, of course, a movement have started. Second is the MSMEs. Role of MSME in this initiative will be very high, and it's also difficult to push every company in that. So talking about MSME, Mr. Kavishkar, I have a question for you. A lot of MSMEs we see are also always in some sort of financial crunch. They are also kind of struggling with their surviving and all these things. In such case, how practical it is for them to go for any kind of sustainable practice, adopt sustainable technologies, for a company that is like struggling to survive, and then now we tell them that you need to adopt certain technologies, certain methods that is sustainable for the environment. How practical it is, and how they can, if at all they have to do it, how they should initiate.
Correct. Thanks, Nishan. It's a very good question. I want to put it differently. If they wanted to come out from this, what typically from sick to better, sustainability can support them. Only thing is that the dimension of sustainability they can understand. I take one dimension of sustainability is a operation excellence and lean management. If
Okay.
they can work on maybe minor, let's take a any company having a turnover maybe not 100 but up to the 50 CR, where their
Right.
working capital management is most crucial, and most of the company fails to deliver on that part. So they always have a crunch, so they unable to take a big orders. At the same time, they are unable to manage their working so that they can have that power to hold it. But if they
Right.
improve efficiency of their processes even by 1%, correct, the 1% can give them straightforward 1 to 2 CR into their bottom line, correct. So
Right.
if what I see that if they can map their process, just try to reduce, put two systems. One, they can put let's say thing, maybe they can try to reduce energy by 5%. Energy reduction by 5% will reduce your carbon footprint. That is, you are going towards the sustainability, correct. At the same
Right.
time, this will also, especially in the process manufacturing, this also reduce the waste, correct. Another scope 2 will get reduced. So see, one single step can bring up multiple dimensions. First, to the bottom line, as Amit sir has rightly said, correct, we are accountable to the stakeholders, so it can't go one on one. But if we can take this way and try to measure it, I see the most important factor which is missing is awareness. Where we say they come up from the workshop, now people talk about the ESG, and they say it's an investment for me. The first what mind, they say it's an investment for me. Rather, they say how I can take one part, calculate myself, understand it. Because now, let's say the good thing is that with IT and networking, you can get all information lively, yeah? All
Right.
tools, most of the information, only that data processing brain you have, so that can be get it from the training and help you to do that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if they can work, this is one step. Next is a lean management. Lean management, what this takes, just reduce the waste. Waste can be of anything, either of your time cycle of processing what you take, your what are the waste you generation reduction into that, your time, your of the resources, everything takes care of it. Another part is a supply chain. Let's say if they can follow the smooth supply inventory and operation planning process, that can also help them to reduce it. But I see that if somebody like I think such programs can also help to understand the basics of it, and by this way they can tell to their customer, by this way I am, let's say I was maybe 10% sustainable, now my product is 20% sustainable. By putting my action goals for next 5 years, I will be 50% sustainable. Maybe up to 50% you don't have to have any impact on your product cost, but only through improvement and by understanding your product life cycle one can. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you so much. And almost same question I would like to ask Mr. Ravindra now. Let's say in a use case format, let's say there is this company is, let's say, into a job shop making a lot of automotive component or any other sector about doing revenue of 50 to 75 crore or something like that. If they have to adopt to sustainable practices and reduce the overall carbon footprint, what are the step-by-step process they can adopt to reduce it in their own company, which may not dent their pocket and also help them, reduce the cost?
Okay, that's a great question. See, I have slightly different tech than my fellow panelists. See, what's happening is, first of all, the awareness about sustainability is growing leaps and bounds. The companies, the big companies have to think about scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. So what they are essentially doing is they are trying to make sure that they are greening their supply chain. And they fully understand that the small, medium enterprises may not have the capex, may not have the know-how, may not have the best practices to be able to become green in that sense.
Right.
So what
Right.
many big companies are doing as a part of their CSR work, as a part of their overall business responsibility sustainability reporting, is they are going out of the way to ensure that they do hand holding, they do training, they do some capex support, they do all kinds of know-how or knowledge transfer to help their supply chain, which is by and large MSMEs, to get up to speed with energy transition, which is actually installing, let's say, asset light solar panels, which can help them reduce, for example, the energy bills, graduate to the energy transition by way of renewable energy. So that's on energy. They are also helping them do energy audits by helping them identify the energy guzzlers, helping them in kind of identifying the areas which need replacement, which need repair. They are able to help them reduce their utility footprint, water footprint, emissions footprint, carbon footprints, energy footprints, and all of that. So I think there are many certification agencies like British Standard and others who are actually running courses. There are industry associations with special focus on MSME who are going out of the way to create awareness, educating them, showing them pathways. There are companies that are coming hand in hand with them to offer solutions which are easy to implement for MSME sectors. My fellow panelist mentioned about Industry 4.0. There are many, for example, Ministry of Heavy Industries has a lab which actually help do the audits on what part can be automated at minimal cost. That will help them improve the process efficiency, manufacturing efficiency, reduce their waste, reduce their effluent, reduce their sewage. So I think it is true what Mr. Kapur said, that we have a long way to go. There is no doubt about that. Having that said, we are progressing by leaps and bounds. I think India is perhaps the only nation in the G20 club which is keeping in track with the renewable energy commitments. There was a tagline called doubling energy, renewable energy, tripling energy efficiency. So I think we have taken initiative on that ground. So I think we are on track on the energy transition plan. Our renewable energy capacities are growing. Solar, wind, bioenergy are making deep penetrations in terms of energy mix. The government has taken special initiatives to actually set up small modular reactors on the nuclear energy, which is a clean energy, also called Bharat Small Reactors. So there is lots happening on the energy landscape. So all these dovetails because it has a cascade effect, you see. Because many MSMEs are in B2B game. So when they piggyback on the major customers, they are helping them shape up their renewable energy commitment, their net zero commitment, their waste management commitments, their emissions commitment. So I think if you talk about auto industry, there are already companies that are graduating to either electric vehicles platform for clean energy. There are companies that are also doing hybrid, which is combination of IC engines plus electric onboard recharging. They can also do with higher blends of biofuels. There are companies which have lots of energy guzzlers, let's say pen shop. They are using the compressed biogas instead of compressed natural gas. So there are ways and means being found out to go to find a solution. Of course, the climb is not easy. It's going to take time. But if you ask me, is there awareness? Yes, there is awareness. Is there a big campaign in terms of knowledge sharing? There is. Are there solutions? Indeed, Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises is taking lots of efforts to get this MSME sector up to speed on helping them shape up. Is everything going to be all right in short term? Perhaps not. But I think looking at the sunny side, we are making great progress in energy transition, and which is why I think India is marching, perhaps the only economy in the G20 club, steadily towards fulfilling their SDGs. And last point, I think Mr. Kapur said it very well. MSME employs over 50% of labor. They're responsible for 25% of export. They are also accounting a lot in terms of GDP, is almost 25%. So they're very critical for achieving the net zero targets, sustainability targets. And in that regard, they're not left high and dry to fend by themselves. There are many ecosystem players which are coming in. For example, banks are coming in to help them graduate to a cleaner, greener tomorrow. There are socially responsible funds. There are green funds. There are CSR budgets. There is training, learning. So I think the whole landscape is gearing towards a greener tomorrow. That's my take.
Okay, so I think what you started in your answer is that the collaboration between the OEMs and small companies are extremely important, and there are so many OEMs who are also inculcating their kind of oral lifestyle to the small companies as well. Right.
Because
So
their end goal is also contingent on their supply chain. So it's in a
yeah,
bigger interest. They have
yeah, yeah.
social interest, but they have individual interests too. So the bigger point I wanted to make, that MSMEs are not left high and dry to fend for themselves. Of course, nobody's going to go and spoon feed them. But if they ask for help, if they look for funding, if they look for technology solutions, if they look for knowledge, if they look for legislative support, it's all there.
Okay, okay. Right. So that brings me to the another question to Mr. Santosh. How have you seen the customer expectations evolve around the sustainable practices in manufacturing? Because as Mr. Ravindra also said, we know that, Apple, one of the largest company in the world, has made this goal that by 2030 they will be carbon neutral. Not just them, the whole supply chain, all the supplier of them is also going to be, adopt sustainable practices and being a carbon neutral. So, how do you see the customer expectation has evolved in these days? Apple is one company, we understand it's large and they have the means and methods and money to do all these things. But in a small level, how is it happening?
I think in the corporate level, in the enterprise level, sustainability is now becoming a part of the balance sheet, right? So they are tracking
Right.
it on a monthly basis, and I'm working with a few VCs in India
Okay.
who have sustainability as a core target for all their companies that they're investing, right?
Okay.
And they report it to their investors on a monthly basis, right? And it is in their interest that they focus on companies that are only are practicing sustainable practices and going down that road. Now, that being said, Phitons was one of the industry leaders in terms of coming up with a solution to single-use plastic problem, right? And we were very well in advance. Everyone knew that the problem existed, but we really did not get any traction in the market till the July 1st, 2020 ban happened, right?
Okay.
2022, right? That's when that ban happened. That's when we started seeing traction. Until then, everyone wanted the solution, but no one wanted to change because there was no push from the regulatory bodies for them to force them to change. And now that the ban is there and there are some restrictions in usage of packaging material, single-use packaging material, there's a lot of now interest coming in and people want to, I think inherently from an emotional angle, people want to practice sustainable practices, want to make sure that their companies are sustainable. However, at the end of the day, the procurement department will view it as a number on the balance sheet and how it's affecting their bottom line. And they will take a call based on that. And which is why it's important for us to understand that it has to be commercially viable for us to practice sustainability at scale. And if not, it'll just be a wishful thinking that people will be, sitting and doing armchair philosophies and trying to think of sustainable solutions. But unless we practice it, practice what we do in Phitons, we do something called continuous innovation, right? Where we focus on innovation being part of our core manufacturing practice itself. And we are doing continuous improvement is something which people would have heard of, but we do rapid prototyping and continuous innovation. where a percentage of every employee's time is taken, is dedicated towards doing innovation, doing rapid prototyping, coming up with better solutions, and trying to solve customers' problems from a sustainable point of view. I think it's important for every organization, and I belong to MSME, right? I'm a company which is coming over, growing very rapidly because of the demand in the industry, but I'm still definitely fall under the MSME category. And for us, it's important that there are lots of shortcuts available in the market. There are lots of shortcuts. The client will ask us. I got a call from one of the top, I won't name them, but one of the top beverage manufacturers, and they said, okay, so the government is banning plastic straws. This was about a year ago. I have 5 billion straws that I need on an annual basis, and you have the certification. You just give me the straw. I don't care what you put in it, right? So this
Okay.
is happening in the market. Greenwashing is a very prevalent thing, and we took a very strategic and a conscious decision not to take it up, not to take up that, because if we want to get into the field of sustainability, there are many other industries where we can make money, if that is the goal, right? But if you want to get into the field of sustainability, I'm talking about Phitons, because Phitons is inherently in the field of sustainability. Everything we do is to make the planet a better place. Every product we put out there is to help other companies become more sustainable. So sustainability is in the core ethos of Phitons, right? And I think that is very important. Sustainability has to be in the core ethos of every company now. It is in the better interest for us, for the future generations that we are leaving this planet, we are rather borrowing this planet from, that every company has the responsibility to make their products and services more sustainable. And there'll be a lot of pressure from the client to reduce the cost, take shortcuts, and things like that. But we have to practice continuous innovation, focus on pure innovation to bring down the cost and make the products more sustainable and take it out there. So, long story short, to answer your question, from the market, unless there is a regulatory push, there is a very less traction, at least I have experienced in my thing. But with traction, with the regulatory push being there, a lot of companies are now coming forward, and there are champions within organization who want to champion sustainability, sustainable products and services. But now that the rules have come in from the government, these voices are being heard, and now we're able to strike very interesting deals with them.
Okay. So you mean to say that the regulatory enforcement is extremely important for sustainability
Extremely
to
important. Extremely
right,
important.
right. Because I
Because
think
I
as you
just
said
want to
that
add one point here, right? So in
right,
my case, plastics have been in the industry for decades, 7 decades, 8 decades, right? They have
say
achieved economies of scale. They have achieved economies of scale in such a large way that that it'll take us many years to reach that. Unless we have some support from the government to level the playing field, impossible for us to compete. It's just
right,
impossible. And
right.
and I wouldn't even blame the client, because at the end of the day, if they have to compete with their competitors, they have to ensure that they're on par. Unless the end consumer is willing to pay a little bit more, and right now that's not the case.
That's not the case. True. So that brings me to Mr. Yogesh. The thing is, if sustainability has to have successful, there has to be a lot of technology that companies have to adopt to monitor it, to track it. So how are technologies like AI, IoT, Industry 4.0, analytics and all are supporting the sustainability effort in manufacturing? Do you have any specific examples that you can share?
Absolutely. First thing first, um, what I liked in my the previous speaker, he was sharing some anecdotes on it. I just wanted to put it with an example. Like the red light need to be followed with or without guard, without the police. So
Right.
sustainability need to be followed with or without compliance procedures, but that doesn't happen every time,
It doesn't happen. Yeah.
because there is a cost pressure always on everyone. There is a market share pressures on everyone. However, organizations can plan and adapt right from the basics, where you know drafting those small but achievable goals primarily for everyone, whether it's a 50 crore organization or 500 crore organization. Drafting those goals, minor goals, are important. Second,
Right.
from technology perspective, whether I'll not go to industry 4.0 because tomorrow something will pop up. But what's at the bottom line of it is designing the product, designing for sustainability. So LCA can help designers choose material, components, manufacturing process that can minimize the environmental impact. That's the idea behind it. Second, optimizing the supply chain. One of the panelists already explained it earlier. From our supplier identification process, if we put up at least a score matrix to the supplier, what kind of sustainability score a particular supplier has, and giving a priority to those in that scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, that somebody can establish it. Then eventually the material energy and efficiency, in terms of use of energy, water, material. I did my PhD in manufacturing, manufacturing processes. um, Component of a small size of a fluid component that we use in a manufacturing can create a huge impact on the manufacturing process completely. And as well as analyzing the energy consumptions at different stages of the life cycle of the production, and as well as implement the energy saving measures. One of the panelists already mentioned related to the water conservations. We can always go towards harvesting the existing water, or as well as the solar consumption. And nowadays people are going towards hydrogen based power emission scenarios, as well as the larger corporations are going towards nuclear, green energy, nuclears. So looking towards government push, yes, like we all say, there has to be a blessing from the elderly, there has to be blessing from the government, there has to be reward and remit mechanisms from the ecosystem. In a If we are in a jungle and there is a large tree, it always gives fruits and shadow. Similar to that, if we are in a organizations based or manufacturing based organizations around us, a large organization can always give a little bit of credits to the people who are following the sustainability and giving them an opportunity to do more. And as well as government can give their essential push to bring a direct energy suppliers, energy supply to the organizations. I hope I tried to cover up almost every point for your question. Thank you.
Yes. And I think Mr. Ravindra would you like to add something?
Yeah, Nishant, I think the point you were making was about how AI ML and its impact
Yeah.
on sustainability. So, the thing is, AI, I mean, open any newspaper, any television, any trade media, AI ML, there are columns and columns running. The reality is that AI and ML is in amoeba shape. What it will grow up to, it's something which nobody has complete and out understanding. Absolutely, it is true that AI and ML can give us incredible amount of efficiency, ability to churn data, make informed decisions, help us make more informed choices, whatnot. I mean, there is no doubt about the merits of AI and ML. Having that said, very recently Google and also I think Apple came up with a reports that because of increased data churning, because of the increased hardware, they are net zero targets, which were initially 2030. They say that they are very ambitious. They will have to move it forward. In other words, AIML calls for huge amount of electronics,
Data
chip
consumption.
making, data processing, computer hardware, energy, and whatnot. So I'm saying that the jury, whether AIML is going to help us win the war against climate change, global warming, and helping net zero, or it's going to take us down the drain because of the increased energy, increased unsustainable prices, increased mining. I mean, we can trace back the entire value chain because it's all associated with semiconductors and precious metal and whatnot. So the jury is not yet out. Right now, what we are seeing is they're indeed helpful. Their usage needs to be regulated. We have to just make sure that we use them where necessary. For example, just one last point, that a simple Google search and a simple AI query, there is a difference of huge, I mean, 7-fold, 10-fold difference. I think, I don't remember the exact names, but 0.007 watts to 0.3 watts or something, which in other words, AI related query consumes lots of energy because the crawlers go all over to get the data. So the jury is not out. It is helpful tool, but again, how mindfully, how consciously we use it will decide it's a bane or boon.
Yeah. But I think the
And that's the
usage of
exact
this
reason,
technology.
and that's the exact reason I tried to keep AI and ML away from that question, because we are yet to reach to a maturity to understand whether because AI can give, if I want a design, I can get a design, but whether that design which I get as a result of my query, how much CPUs, how much heat process, how much hot rate spots or hotspots it's creating, and as well as how much penetration points it's creating out of it, I don't know. That's why it's better to focus on what I can do the best with the ecosystem that I have in my manufacturing process, and then bringing small, effective, measurable, sustainable goals in my processes, which will help me achieve at least some targets rather than going in air.
Right. But sir, I think you'd agree with me. AI ML is here to stay and it is the future, whether it's in our personal life or we use it in our factories, right? So
No
it has
doubt.
to be there. Maybe we need to produce the energy in a more sustainable and renewable way. Is that something that we can
See,
look at?
for any AI, right, it requires the data gamut. Okay. It requires use cases. AI will fetch something what you have done, something what I have done, something what these panels had done, and and then it will give us a consolidated report to me if I produce that as a query. Okay.
Yes.
So that means there is a data bank which is required. To keep that data bank up and alive, there are energy requirements at the background. Okay, whether it's in form of data centers, your compute processes, your threads at the at other side of the, and that it can be anywhere in the world. Okay, and to maintain all that data, probably in my own environmental ecosystem of the organization, it will be a gigantic task. It will require capex investments and it will be unsustainable. Okay. Now, coming back to what, yes, there is no doubt VR, virtual reality, is used for the POC purposes, creating the digital twins of a particular product, making sure in case instead of making a physical product, there are POCs created with a virtual ecosystem. Now, plastic industry, or if somebody supplies to a manufacturing pharmaceutical industry, I need an ambient color glass, which will make sure my product shelf life is higher than today. Then to produce that particular glass, if it takes 3 days for me to make an actual product, it will take 3 minutes probably with the use of a VR mechanism, and it will be a good flow to show the customer, no doubt. However, while making it, am I making use of that VR, or am I using the old legacy processes to manufacture? That's where the conflict comes up, because to make a VR case, if it takes 10 rupees for me to make the product, if it is take 25 rupees for me, that 15 rupees difference will take out my profit.
Right. And that's where the individuals and the companies have to
Exactly.
decide what exactly they need to do. Right. I think Mr. Kapur,
And
would you like to add?
Nishant,
Sorry.
just to add here, just wanted to say, we are already carrying a, AI device in our pocket. Yeah.
Exactly.
So and it comes at so natural. We fail to realize that we are already AI ML enabled people. Only thing is that the application at the particular business and the investment required for it, that's something individual has to say. Yeah, Nishant, over to you.
Right. No, I think this particular topic has ignited everyone, and everyone wants to touch upon these things. So, Mr. Kapoor and Mr. Nagasamy, would you also like to add something to this?
Yeah, Nishant, to whatever we have discussed so far, whether we are discussing about the different practices which enable us to, uh, reach our goal of sustainability, or we are discussing about AI and ML. But I personally feel the most important thing is the people who are going to do this. So their engagement and their training, that is where we should start from, and that doesn't cost much. Getting that knowledge of sustainability, the importance to your employees down the line, top to bottom, like I said in the beginning also. And if each and every one of them can be made aware, then automatically they will start, this process of innovation, the process of adopting sustainable practices. And not only we'll have a good and neat and clean and safe workplace, but they definitely take those practices to their homes and extend it to their families also. Similarly, they will also extend it to their suppliers and our customers. So, change is something which human beings are very, they run away from it. So, if we
Yeah.
are able to change the mindset first, whether it is our employees, customers, suppliers, everybody, we start from there. Automatically, all those practices start building up.
Yeah. So you spoke about change is something that we all individuals usually take time to adopt it, but use also I think we change usually for the bigger opportunities, which brings up many challenges as well. So you also spoke about top to bottom mindset change for the sustainability. As a owner of the company, maybe you and Mr. Nagaswamy both can just touch upon this thing. What kind of challenges you find to implicate this sustainable practice from in every individual in your company?
I don't think it's a challenge. It's a perspective how you look at things. So what we do generally is we organize various competitions within the organization for every on a monthly basis. You have to come out with some sustainable practice which can be adopted by the organization, and there are small awards. So the employees or any individual just needs a little push, little motivation, whether it is in the form of a award, reward, recognition. you know and they, trust me, they come out with brilliant ideas, but it is the initiative of the top management to make these practices as a regular feature of your town hall meetings, of your monthly review meetings, of your board meetings. you know it has to be inculcated in the culture. Getting ideas out of the people is not difficult. You just have to push them. Nobody, people are reluctant to come out with it, and they come out with very, very weird ideas. They come out with excellent ideas. Don't stop them, don't interrupt them, let them speak. You'll automatically have a line of ideas flooded up, which are very easy to adopt. They don't require lot of capital investment, or maybe they may be free. And the human brain is amazing. You can get amazing things done out of it. The idea is how to trigger it in the right
Right,
direction. That is the most important thing. And
right,
that is
right,
what we try to do in our organization. We just trigger their brains.
right. Mr. Santosh, would you like
Yeah.
to touch upon?
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic discussion, especially as you said, the AI topic just ignited everyone's passion. I think it's because it's such a hot topic today, right? And as I think Mr. Ravindra mentioned that it is a very interesting one, because unless we do a multivariant analysis on how suitable AI is, we will never get to know, because there's so many factors involved. We need another AI to see if AI is sustainable or not. It's a very complex situation right now. But we also have to understand that AI is at a nascent stage. Although it has permeated the world so fast, it is still very, very new, right? And companies are finding ways to now make it sustainable. Google just struck a deal to take over a nuclear power plant, a small one, to power its AI, making it far more sustainable more sustainable, right? And make it more green in that way. So it is going to become, more sustainable. People are going to learn and adapt. No one expected it to grow so fast, right? And no one expected it to permeate the world the way it has done. And as you rightly mentioned, AI is here to stay, right? And it is something, if we don't use AI, we will not be competitive anymore in the market, right?
Yeah.
And we are able to do something called, I mentioned earlier, called rapid prototyping and continuous innovation. Rapid prototyping without AI is almost impossible in the manufacturing sector, right? How do we, how we have to now complete a lot of permutations and combinations in the AI sandbox environment, and then fine tune the certain ideas, and then go do it in the manufacturing unit, right, and in the lab. So unless we use AI to its entirety, it's very difficult for us to implement these things. And in the long run, I think it's going to be more sustainable. In the long run, it is, like I said, it's very new, but in the long run, it is definitely going to be sustainable. And your question of how do I ensure the usage of AI permeates to the organization? Some departments, I found it hard, right? Especially the legal department. They don't want to use AI at all, right? Because I think it was a little bit of threat to their own way of working. But I had to explain to them that it's a tool that is going to help them be more efficient rather than replacing them. And that's something which once they understood that, they started becoming more efficient using AI. And again, it's as Mr. Kapur mentioned, it's a constant top-down approach. We have to have engaging sessions and we have to lead by doing, right? And we have to use AI and always demonstrate how efficient we can be as individuals and as an organization, and remind them that how threatening it can be if we don't use AI. We will be definitely left irrelevant in the industry.
Right. So I will have one more question for each of you before we take some questions from the audience. We have got some questions already for each of you. So, Mr. Kavishwar, circular economy. So one of the prime mover of sustainable manufacturing practice or sustainable economy is a circular economy. How do we implement circular economy practices in our organizations? Any examples do you have?
Yeah, sure. So circular economy in terms of what you say, or typical manufacturing industry. I belongs to the chemical manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
So I typically bifurcate into the product life cycle assessment. So circular economy is a very vast topic. So if we bring down to the pieces, I can say, let's say out of 100, I'm taking the one example where we are manufacturing product A. And product A life cycle, I assess it first rather going for the hundreds one. And once this, we typically call it to grave effect. So we take our product, we analyze what is the index, sustainability index for this particular product, how much, and it doesn't start from my processing. Let's say it required some component to manufacturing from supplier. So what processes he's manufacturing, and what is the credit he's passing to me, or how much his carbon footprint is. So please understand, it's not about me, it's also about the supplier, and whether he will agree for my suggestion, don't know, because it will have a cost implication. So as a starts, I will identify my whole cycle, how my product life cycle is, and at the end of the product, how it will move. Since we are into the B2B industry, for us it makes very easy. Like, if you take Santosh example, typically C and onwards his work start. Not only B2C, but C and onwards his work starts, and then he further moves it. So for us, it's sometimes very easy to measure, because we do the work with the most of the manufacturing industries and to the customer who already knows the sustainability. There are very rare people who don't know in typically our kind of business. And since we do business with the most of top 5 people, mostly to 80% export, so for us it's very easy. So I see that cradle to grave effect, we can have a product life cycle assessment. That is the one. one do it, and if we can then bifurcate all processes into the sustainability basket. So we say in each process how I see. So if I see when we read it, we typically bifurcated this into the three scopes as everybody targeted. Let's say if we say when we say scope one, it's a production and operations we divide, where we say any alternative resources for heat and steam production. Process optimization, generally in a cement industry there is a turning process is there, we can improve. In scope 2 we can see energy efficiency improvement and any possibility of green power source adoption. And scope 3 we are divided into two. Downstream is typically for logistic transportation decarbonization,
Okay.
and then its uses and its end life. And upstream, if say low carbon raw material sourcing, let's say as we're saying this supplier, if I can have a low carbon source that can give me the credit, and then if improved product is, let's say through my R&D, can I further improve my carbon footprint by either by 100% conversion of reactant or by elimination of that which is generating the most. So these are the scopes we have decided, and this has helped us to improve. So if I'm very proud to say our out of 100% product, our around 60% products are meeting the sustainability goals, and we are in a phase of publishing our report. And if we say on a legal framework, by start of 26, GRI will come up with clear regulation, which Indian government also is in a draft mode. So that right now it's all voluntary. So this will come into the picture, and then everybody has bound to do. Like it has started with CSR. We are the first country to do that. Very rare country who has that rule for the profit. Similarly, for sustainability, it is going to come. As of now, the timeline is the first quarter of 26. Thank you.
Right. You mentioned that 60% of your products are meeting the sustainability goal. When exactly did your company started a proper movement towards the sustainability?
Okay, I tell you, this has
Was it
started long back, but we have started measuring before 4 years. And at first year, it was like there was, as many of say that why it is required. When we are earning a good bottom line, why it is required. But it has taken a time for a year to understand organization how basically it is important and why it is need to be recorded. Because to record, you need to identify the data, process the data, calculate and put it. Correct? And we
right?
also gone ahead when we started it. We also put a sustainable guy in place who can ensure this process to be established. And now we are going forward it. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's good. Mr. Ravindra, any kind of changes we bring in the system always need some sort of skill set. So how do we ensure that we have a right skill set to implement all these sustainable technologies? How organizations like government, technology provider, and individual users can collaborate and enhance their own sustainability goal?
That's a great question. So, if we are to look at the sustainability, it's like, and its skill set, it will be like churning an ocean, right? So we have a tunnel vision. What are the things within sustainability which have a big and direct impact on us, which we must attack, right? For example, if we say that we are big consumers of water,
Right.
if we have effluent or sewage going out, then what will be our repercussions? We will have adverse impact on, let's say, biodiversity, right? We will have adverse impact unless we put a effluent treatment, sewage treatment plant, unless we recycle water. So then we focus on those skill sets. What are the technologies available for water treatment, water recycling, reusing water, rainwater harvesting, are some of the simple things. If we are big energy consumers, then we focus our efforts on energy, right? If we are big in terms of wastage, some manufacturing processes have wastage element. So how something we can create waste to wealth, just as an example,
Yeah.
how we can work on that. We are talking about, let's say, things like sustainable material. So if we have lots of material coming up, can we look at materials which are more environment friendly, more sustainable? Can we indeed go into circular economy as a whole? So actually it's horses for courses, right? So second thing is we need to have thorough knowledge of what are the regulations coming. Again, I think Mr. Santosh made a great point about regulations. Regulations is a great boss, let's say. You know, for example, there are many companies which are going to get, whether you want to go from unlisted to listed, whether you want to attract the capital, whether you want to go and follow public offering, whether you want to get another, everybody is going to ask you, but okay, all this is fine, but sustainability also makes great business sense. How much aligned are you to the sustainable practices? So one is the pressure of regulations keeping up, you have to comply, falling in line. Another is pressure from the stakeholders. And I think Mr. Amit also in the initial part said that the customer is also aware. They also want to do business with a company that has more environmentally friendly practices. So I think if we look at the customer behavior, that's another area we need to look at. So, if you have to look at the world of sustainable development, there are multiple angles, whether it is energy angle, whether it is policy angle, whether it is technology angle, whether it is consumer preference angle, whether there is a competition angle, because somewhere they are going to float. And of course, one great question you ask is about how do you go bottoms up? I mean, it need not be tops down. There has to be something feel good factor for the employees also, that they are doing something good for the environment. So I think you look at the whole element as a whole of system, and there are several programs. There are people who come. Otherwise, Earth Day, Water Day, Environment Day,
Yeah.
are the typical triggers when people arrange lectures, and then it is BAU, business as usual. So I think we need to also attach a portion of evaluation or appraisal or performance appraisal to how much personal social. There are many companies who do personal social responsibility. How are you managing waste at your home? How are you helping people at the bottom of the pyramid get up to speed with environmental practices? How many trees are you planting? How are you recycling your waste? So some of these criteria are also done in the performance improvement. So there is a pressure of evaluation, whether there is a pressure of compliance, and there is this own drive within to do something good for yourself, for the society, for the nation, to create a better future for tomorrow. So I think staying on the top of the game is very important. By way of now, for example, what are the outcomes coming out from COP29 Baku summit? We already read in paper today that 2024 will go down in the history at the hottest year ever. And we are already this year surpassed 1.5 degrees trigger from pre-industrial level. So this year world was hotter than 1.5 degrees centigrade target that we had set. So business as usual continues. We would be hitting 3 degrees by end of the century. But thanks to this great shift towards renewable energy, clean technology, we are going to see that we'll plow back and we will be able to pull back. So I think we need to be mindful of what technology is able to do for us. We need to keep people motivated to do bigger things, better things in life. We need to go and educate at school, college level to bring about awareness about sustainability, environmental best practices, and we have to attack as a whole.
Okay. Okay, so you spoke about the word was hotter this year, and I kind of faced that. I just came from Japan and I wanted to visit Mount Fuji like everyone else do. And when I went there, there was a news everywhere that after 130 year, there is no snow cap on the Mount Fuji.
Look at
So
that.
after
Yeah.
130 year, and I happened to be in the same that 2 day when I went there. So
I think
anyways,
there was a
to
great
moving.
example Mr. Santosh gave, that how Google has now retorted to clean energy by way of small modular reactors to fuel
Right.
their air. And then one last point before I give away is, indeed we can't do without AI, but how much we allow AI to enter our doorsteps, to our living room, kitchen, bed, it's something which only regulations decide. For example, the car in Germany are 90%, 95, 98% automated. But in India, you can't go, I think, above 68% or 70% automation, because our needs are very different from the needs elsewhere. So I think
Exactly.
even for AI regulations, this will be a major factor into what extent and how far we will be able to put that into the play. Because we
Right.
don't want to score another self goal here.
Right. 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 Got it. So that brings me to the question on the technology perspective again to my questions to Yogi, Mr. Yogesh. Looking ahead, what innovations or shift do you think will define the next 10 years in sustainable manufacturing?
Um, well, there will be a lot of, I mean, every day we see there are changes coming up in the
Yep.
manufacturing processes typically by using the technology. Yeah, whether it's a, I'm from manufacturing background, always have been last 25 years. Um, we used to call it as JITS manufacturing few years ago, okay, or batch manufacturing. In the either both processes can simultaneously work together if a technology is properly used there, okay, and by both mechanisms organizations can make money using similar sustainable solutions which are there in a place, whether it's if we talk about a particular use case, we all know use of solar energy, cooling mechanisms that are required in the manufacturing plant. Those effective use of your airflow mechanisms and models which are required, those are changing every day, and the technology associated to that will help reduce the overall manufacturing cost, eventually gaining the customer trust and as well as making the sustainable manufacturing frog leaping it kind of. And of course, we spoke about VR, we spoke about AI. It's going to be a game changing. Every day we see that based off by using a particular AI tool. I can't name it, but at least we all see that productivity is enhancing. However, productivity enhance at what cost? We need to analyze that. And if we can get that delta, that by using AI, I can reduce my working hours to 6 hours, and that way I don't need electricity in my office for 2 hours. That delta, I'm giving a very vague but practical example. If that delta is somewhere which is marginally helping me gain my individual uh, um, courses on sustainability, even though I'm using AI and I'm consuming a lot of power which are there at the data centers, um, but I'm somewhere helping it reduce it at my place. So to keep my house clean, do I want to make my city polluted? So that's a conscious decision that we want to get it. And yes, use of technology is essential. Even though I'm a technology man last 25 years, but I'll still urge towards only one thing. The sustainability starts from your own. you know it's very simple to buy a 20 rupees plastic 1 liter bottle, but it's very difficult to carry one bottle along with you. Do carry that. Thank you.
Yes, that's perfectly right point. Maybe regulatory strictness is extremely important. It may not come on its own, but I think if you ban the plastic, they will not use it. They will might use the cloth, bag or
No,
something like that.
banning doesn't help. Okay, first thing, okay, ban on anything does not help you grow. Rather, um, enhancing by using the technology, how we can make the plastic reusable. One, how we can make more plastic biodegradable. These are the components that we need to take it forward. A ban will do only one thing, whether it's a green and a black and a white, but there are many gray areas which requires in a manufacturing organization, and that's a very very delicate rope to walk. It's very easy to put the things under the carpet and tell, oh, my scores are very high, I achieved my sustainable goals, but at the same time need to be conscious about what am I giving to the organization, what am I giving to the next generation, what am I giving to the board of directors, and what am I giving inside my product ultimately. That's a conscious decision, and if it comes with a pinch of salt, that's pinch of salt need to be absorbed also.
Point
Thanks.
well taken. Yes. Mr. Yogesh, do you have to leave as you have some meeting, you said?
Yes, unfortunately I have to drop off now. Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Yogesh, I want to just add two quick points to the great point you made. I think, Nishant, the thing is, he said ban doesn't help. Absolutely, it won't help. Till such time, you have something as a as an alternative in
As a
place,
proper
number one.
replacement. Yeah.
So you can have a biodegradable, biodecompostable plastic to replace single-use plastics. Great at that parity. Second, what about the ones which are already there in landfill? What about the ocean? So you need to find ways and means to process it, reprocess it. So it's a complex thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
We'll
Correct.
ask
Okay.
Doctor,
Meshmix
Doc-
to schedule another panel only
Correct.
to discuss
Correct.
that.
Dr.
All right then.
Ravindra and
Yogesh must be
Yogesh,
listening this.
Thank you.
Phitons
Thank
has
you.
the answer to all your problems, right? So we have alternatives to single-use plastic, and that's what we're striving for. And in fact, one of our sister companies has a way to process the waste that are already existing and upcycle it into something which is fantastic.
Yes,
And we can definitely talk about this at length.
we will talk about
Absolutely.
it. I wrote just article
Great.
on that. Yeah, we will
Okay.
talk about
Thank
that.
you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings all, we are almost at the last part. Mr. Amit, my question to you is, how do we, measure or view the ROI of sustainability initiatives? Because, for example, let's say certain company implements sustainability practices and kind of reduce the wastage, reduce the energy. I'm sure they'll be able to save some cost, and money saving is actually money gaining. So what percent of their top line they can improve? Any rough figure if someone goes for sustainable practices?
Nishanti, to start with, we have to look at every process, relook at every process, rather, I would say. What are the inputs? What is the output? What is the transformation?
Right.
What can be changed? Is it at the raw material stage? Is it at the process stage? Is it at the output stage? Is it at the controls which are there or the resources which are used to, complete that process? Uh, uh, Measuring sustainability, you will have to measure maybe in terms of energy, maybe in terms of waste generation. That will vary from process to process.
Right.
So, say supposing I'm using a very energy intensive process. Okay, say recovery of latent heat. What was the energy I was using earlier vis-a-vis what is the energy which I'm using now with a new process or with some change in the process? That will give me my measurement of sustainability in terms of units of energy consumed or units of energy saved or units of raw material saved. So there cannot be any general formula as such, but it'll vary from process to process. Similarly, in case of solvents manufacturing, I implement a sustainable practice of solvent recovery. So, what is the amount of solvent I'm able to recover? That will increase my bottom line. If I'm able to resell that solvent for any other application, that will increase my top line. Again, you see, there are variables involved. So, there is no general formula as such, but the best way is to relook at every process and see what is a sustainable practice which we can adopt. Is it at the initial raw material stage? The design needs to be changed, the output, the process. What is the strategy we are adopting, and what is the savings out of those strategy? Now, savings may not directly be in terms of money, but they can be in terms of the amount of pollution you're generating, the amount of water you're using. So everything is not necessarily accountable in terms of money, but yes, you can see that earlier my emission norms were so much, now it is so. Earlier my CO2 exhaust was so much, now it is so much. So it can be compared on those terms as well. But yes, the business owners and the stakeholders, the shareholders, they definitely like to see everything being evaluated in money terms and being shown as an increase in the bottom line or the top line.
Okay. So now we have got only few minutes to continue with this. Now I would like to ask you all your closing thoughts on sustainability in manufacturing, 1 minute each. I think maybe starting with Mr. Santosh.
Thank you, Nishant. Wonderful conversation, everybody. I really enjoyed it and learned a lot. The previous question you had asked, Nishant, what the cost of making a company sustainable, I think, which is very important. We need to understand the cost, and at the end of the day, balance sheet, bottom line, and top line are important. But I think the question also we should ask is, can we afford not to go sustainable, right?
Yeah.
The place we are today, and seeing how the world is changing, I don't think any one of us has an option. We have to go sustainable, right? This is the land of dharma, which is given a lot of the four dharmic religions has come out of here. There is a phrase in the Bhagavad Gita I want to share, dharayati iti dharma, which means that which sustains is dharma. Okay, and that is dharma is basically our duty, and I think it's in the best interest for all of us to be sustainable, because as I said earlier, this is the land that we have borrowed from our future generation, and it is for them, for my daughter, for example, that we have to create a better place, and which is what drives me to work every morning, right? And comes and work on potentially making this world a better place. Yeah. And I think that's what I would leave you with at the end.
Mr. Kavishwar, your thought?
Yeah, I think it's a great one, but just want to add in perspective of cost. I had a chance to have a study at ISB Hyderabad for a few years, and one of professor called Anton, he only has simulated the 1% of sustainability what can cause in a aviation industries. So he only take a 1%, and the result was in trillions of dollars. So that's the power of sustainability, I see. And for the day to day, I see there is no choice, as everybody said, there is no choice. I see if I see on my personal way, I see that how I on a personal note can avoid the depletion of resources. At the same time, how I can avoid generating and using the things which cause to the global warming. And that's what the commitment I give to myself, and which gives a lot of fulfillment when you act on a senior role in the industry, so that your decisions can always come with from where you are. It touch to the land. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ravindra, your thought on.
No, I think while Santosh was speaking, I thought he just took notes from my book here. That's a lighter vein, but I think he was so spot on. Is it a matter of choice? I mean, if you don't do sustainable manufacturing, you will soon be out of business. In other words, nobody would like to do business with you. Agreed that there has to be commercial sense, techno-commercial feasibility, ROI and all that. But the reality is that if you're not walking the sustainability path, you will find that less and less people would like to do business with you. Whether you want to work with Fortune 500 companies, coveted clients, whether you want coveted customers, you will be finding that you will always go in a cost trap because it is not feasible. So I think my quick comments here is sustainable manufacturing is here to stay and grow. That's the only way forward. What pace, speed with which it can move forward depends on number of things, like how stringent would the regulations be, how fast we can create awareness, how the technology can be brought to economies of scale, how we can, help look everybody at the bigger picture of society and national growth. So I think sustainable manufacturing has a great future. The more one is able to come up with ideas, the more that company is going to get rewarded by way of getting some murky clients here.
Great. Mr. Amit, your final thought on sustainability in manufacturing.
Nishant, I would just like to end it on one single tagline, become sustainable or become extinct. Choice is yours.
True. And I think for me also, it has been a great learning experience for 1.5 hours. We just spoke about many things. And it's not just in the company. It's we have to start it in our personal life. We have to teach our kids and our surroundings about sustainable living. And as you guys rightly said, it's not a choice, it's a compulsion that we all have to sit in the same vehicle to kind of do sustainable practices. With that thoughts, I think we can close this thing. And thanks to Miss Mix Media Private Limited for this thoughtful panel discussion they have organized. And I would like to thank all of you to share your insights and wisdom with us today. And I personally have learned a lot. And yeah, let's be in touch and let's explore more such things. Thank you so much. Thanks, Miss Mix Media.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Everybody,
Have a
thank
great
you,
day.
Nishant, and thank you to all the viewers as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thanks
Bye.
all. Thank you.